Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Yo, I just saw you. We just did this last night.
What are we doing here?
Back again, huh?
what are we doing here? Is the question of the night. I Double M Live. welcome to Double M Live episode 84. Um Emergency podcast. Emergency podcast. Emergency podcast. Like we hear Mike a lot's happened. I believe last night we was like, yeah, I'm all set for with Celtics talk. We don't gotta talk Celtics for a while, and let us just enjoy these playoffs, and then we can reconvene about the Celtics closer to draft and whatnot. But here we are, and we're talking Celtics. We're talking Celtics in a big way. A lot has been going on.
Yeah, today, as we are here live on June 2nd, you know, Celtics just lost their first round series to the Brooklyn Nets. And usually, when a team gets eliminated from the playoffs, they take some time, maybe players take some time away. They got their little exit interviews and whatnot, and your teams usually, especially teams that suck or didn't win anything, they
Oh
have
my
to,
goodness.
take this
Seriously.
have to take a moment to, take a step back and figure things out and readjust the situation. The Boston Celtics wasted zero time. I'm talking about Wednesday morning. Some people might not even be awake yet. Some people might be just getting on the road to go to work. And the Boston Celtics news starts flying left and right. So we figured Danny Ainge, we just had this conversation about Danny Ainge probably, should he be out? Should he stick around? What's going to happen? You know what? The ownership came out. Danny Ainge decided he's stepping down from his general manager position. And not only is he stepping down, but Brad Stevens is stepping down from his head coaching position to step up into the president of basketball operations position that just has been vacated by Danny Ainge. Like, I'm telling you, Marv, I don't think I've ever heard of anything happen like this as long as I've been following sports. A coach is being relieved of their coaching duties to step into the general manager duties of the guy who's just stepping down from his position. What the hell?
It's it's a
What the
lot. It's a lot to digest, bro. It's a lot to digest because it happened. It happened so quick. It just you 1 minute you get into reports and all of a sudden Brad Stevens moving up, and like the two question marks everyone had argued about was Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge. They're both gone from the position that they once held, and quite frankly, they both wanted to leave their position that they both held. Brad Stevens didn't want to coach no more, and Danny Ainge had enough being a general manager. Danny Ainge, I want to start off by talking about Danny.
Hey, man.
Danny
Go ahead.
Ainge is not a bad GM. Danny Ainge is a really good general manager. Like he did a good job with the Boston Celtics. He ran his course. Did he have issues? Did he make mistakes just like every other general? Yes, he did. But Danny Ainge knew how to run a franchise, and he did it well. There's some circumstances that didn't work out, obviously after the 2008 championship, but he gave you a championship team that got to the championship three times. That should have got to the championship three times. Went twice. We know what happened in 2009, which was probably their best team out of all three of those. But and then he comes back. He gets you Tatum and Brown. Like no one liked that Brown decision coming from the start. And getting Jaylen Brown, especially during that time, if you guys remember correctly, we wanted to trade for Jimmy Butler and Paul George and such. Danny Ainge hit on Jaylen Brown. The Jason Tatum factor. Everyone forgets. What's dude's name now that plays for Orlando?
Markel Fultz.
Mark. I see. Almost forgot his name. Markelle Fultz was the consensus number one pick
Sure was.
throughout the board. It wasn't like, oh, maybe it's Tatum. It could be. No. If you go back, Markelle Fultz was the number one consensus pick.
Automatic.
It took a lot of balls for Danny Ainge to trade out of the number one pick and go for Tatum. It wasn't something like it was instant that everyone saw come like, okay, Tatum could be a star. There might have been GMs who said, okay, Tatum might be better than Fultz, but they would not have the balls to pull that trigger. Danny Ainge had the balls to do it. Yes, Danny Ainge has missed on a lot of draft picks. I understand that. But the ones that he hit, he built a new foundation for the Celtics in the future. Now, am I unhappy that Danny Ainge is gone? No, his time has run up. There's things that happened that were out of his control. There's things that happened that were in his control. And it was time for him to go. So I'm happy that he was able to look himself in the mirror and be like, okay, I got to get the hell up out of here. And that's why last night when we had the show, I was telling you, Mike, I'm like, I think Danny's going to resign because this is a lot. It's time for him to go.
Yeah, my main thing with Danny, well, I have several things with Danny, but my main thing with Danny is I feel like he lost sight on how to correctly build a championship team. That's just what it boiled down to me. He lost sight on how to really build a championship team. And I get it. That 2018 team was probably their best chance at going far. And even at the time when you had that nucleus, never forget the picture, all them standing there, arms folded, Tatum, Brown, Kyrie, Hayward, and Horford. You thought, damn, this is the future right here.
Not Danny's fault, right?
It's not that. I don't blame Danny on that. That was the last year I thought Danny had put together a solid team because you brought in Kyrie, you brought in Hayward, you brought in Horford, and then thankfully you hit in the draft with Tatum and Brown, and then you still had Rozier from a previous draft. You still had Smart. You brought in Marcus Morris.
What a team.
That team was solid, and that was the last year I really thought, okay, Danny, you're finally back. You brought back a championship team. And you know that feeling when your team is good and you're coming out of the offseason and you're like, yo, you got that feel like, yo, this is the team that can make that run. This is the team that can do it. Other than that 2018 team, Danny hasn't had Celtics Nation feeling like that since 2010, 2011. How long is he with the team? 18 years, 17 years, something like that?
It's since 2003.
So Danny Ainge has had fans really feeling confident about making a title run from the Big Three era and then that 2018 team. Other than that, nah. And then on top of the fact, you talked about it a little bit, we're talking about the draft picks here. Yeah, you hit on Tatum and Brown. You kind of hit on Smart. You hit on Rozier, but he's no longer here. But the list of draft picks that this guy has had that have faltered, and we're not even talking about some of the draft picks. We're talking about also some of the, let's hope that we can go overseas and discover this next great project. The Yabasellis and the Vincent Poiriers. Some of these guys that have come through have added nothing.
I mean, those are second rounders, so I don't care.
I don't give a damn what round it is. They draft picks.
If you miss on second rounders, no one really hits on second rounders.
And then he also tries to, well, let's try these guys that have been overseas their whole career, but let's see if we can try them in Boston and have them work out. Wanamaker's no longer here. What's the high flyer that was here that got traded with Tice? I forgot his name too.
High flyer.
The guy can dunk a little bit. What's his name? Green, Javante Green.
Yeah. They high flyer.
He was a little bit of a high flyer, whatever, when he got playing time. But at the end of the day, these draft picks, these unsigned free agents, these let's go overseas and try to steal guys from over there and bring them to the team. Nothing's worked out. And I could go back in years and years. I'm just talking about this current season right now. And I said it to you on a previous show. I'm going to say it again with this show right here. You come out of last season, out of the bubble, on the cusp of an NBA Finals appearance. and you figure, okay, they didn't make the finals. You got to tweak whatever. They'll come back this current season and just elevate. You don't get that close to the NBA finals and descend. You ascend. Watching all the moves and different things happen during the course of the offseason, before a basketball got dribbled on the parquet floor, before one shot went into the hoop, in all honesty, I was kind of clocked out on the Celtics season because there was nothing that Danny Ainge did to get Celtics fans excited and believe that his team can get over the hump. There's no reason. I don't care if you want to talk about money constraints, and there's no reason why your team goes backwards after being that good. Let's get it. They was kind of running through the bubble to begin with. Yeah, they lost Hayward, but they ran through Philly. Who else did they play in the bubble last year?
It was Philly Raptors. They didn't run through Raptors.
They didn't run through Raptors, but they barely scrapped through. But once you beat the Raptors, you figured, okay, if they could get through the Raptors, you feeling really good now. And then you got out muscled by Miami, but you're like, all right, you got to put some couple pieces in place, and you should be right back there. Because you know Miami's going to try to get better. Brooklyn, with prior to getting Harden, you knew they were going to be a solid team with Irving and Durant. You knew Philly wasn't going anywhere, especially adding in Doc Rivers and adding in some solid shooters around Embiid and Simmons. These teams improved and got better to be better suited to try to make a run at the title.
Yeah.
Celtics reverse, not in reverse. They literally turned their car around and drove the complete opposite way down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said. Nothing you said is wrong, other than the fact that you keep saying, yeah, I don't care about the money constraints. As a general manager, that's huge.
Well, then what are you doing as a GM then?
Well, he made the mistake with signing Kemba for the long term. That's Mike. I know it hurts as a Celtics fan, but we can't ignore the money. Like that's a part of it. That's a huge part of it. Kemba is a huge part of the issue. That money hurts. Now, if in hindsight, obviously, I don't think Danny Ainge is doing that Kemba deal. He's gonna go younger, probably have Terry take the reins, and your team is most likely in the same position it is now with Terry here than Kemba, and you have more money. You have more money to free up. I know we have a bunch of comments and questions, so I definitely want to get into that. Once again, this is Double M Live Emergency Podcast, talking about everything that has gone down. Just to talk about Danny Ainge, just to finish it all off, I think his downfall was 2019. It was that draft, that 2019 draft. That's the Romeo Langford. You drafted Thibault, and he became the best one out of all of them, and he went to Philly. You traded him to Philly. Ironically, he's the best one out of all the people you drafted. So it was Romeo Langford, Thibault, Grant Williams, Tremont Waters, Carson Edwards. That was the downfall.
You signed Taco Fall.
That was the downfall. 2019 is where things went to shit for the Celtics because you lost Kyrie that year, and then you went and got all of these draft picks, and not one of them has panned out. The only one that
not freaking one, Marv,
not one panned out, and that hurt the Celtics. That's right there is where things just went south for this team, and this is where we are in 2021, where you are a first round bounce.
You drafted
round bounce
5-6 guys in a draft. 5-6 guys. I'll never forget looking at that press conference and seeing 5-6 guys, whatever it was, lined up next to Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge. And I'm looking at this, and I mean, obviously at the time you don't know what these guys are going to bring to the table. But I'm like, yo, even if one of these guys tonight, I don't give a damn if they're lights out. What the hell are we doing trying to draft 6-7 people for? If you're trying to be a championship team, there's no reason why you need to be in the draft taking 5 guys. Unless you got the first 5 picks in the freaking draft, there's no reason why you should be drafting 5 guys. And on top of the fact, you fast forward from that day, they're all holding their jerseys up to today. None of those guys add anything to the team. Tremont Waters and Carson Edwards are the same player. Get them out of here. Grant Williams is an undersized, unathletic big man. Get him out of here. He can't even shoot. Get him out of here. Taco Fall. I know everybody like, Taco, we want, and as a Celtics fan, I promise you that we want Taco chant drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely crazy. Get him out of here. Who else you said? Langford, a little injury prone. He got some height to him. Maybe he can be a two-way, a 3-and-D guy. I don't know. I'll give Langford a year. But his injury prone got him on the defensive. Get him out of here. Who else is? I don't even know who else is on the team. Semi Ojale?
Yeah, said we gotta go.
What they still holding on? He hasn't changed. He's the same dude. And not only is he the same dude, he still sucks. Get him out of here. Why are all these dudes? I'll never understand. And then Tice is gone. I know Tice is gone. But why coming out of the offseason, you give Tice 2 years, $10 million for? For what? To ship him out? Like Danny Ainge really. I used to be on the, maybe Danny Ainge has to go. Maybe. I don't know. He got to fix some things. Then this last year, I wanted this dude gone. I would have called his Uber to Logan Airport and got him on the way.
Dude wants to move him out of Boston.
Get him out of here, Marv. Get him out of here.
Why he got a family here, bro? Why are you trying to ship him out?
Bro, take the whole family on the plane. They got plenty of seats.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Goodness. All I mean to say is it wasn't working out as the GM of the Boston Celtics anymore. And I just think, he's an older guy. So he started getting out of touch with this current day and age, I believe.
Definitely.
Of the NBA. He started falling out of touch with it, man.
Definitely. I want to get to some of the comments here. Newbie, I want you to describe your question here. Newbie's asking, is Tatum and Brown the next Pierce and Antoine Walker, or are they the next Durant and Westbrook? I'm not quite sure. Can you be more specific on what you're asking? Because Pierce and Walker, they brought their team to the conference finals. Westbrook and Durant, they brought their teams to the finals and lost. But like, what kind of role are you asking? The next stuff?
I kind of wish at the time Celtics didn't get away from the Pierce and Walker tandem as quickly as they did. I mean, obviously, the chips falling in different ways. Obviously, in some way, shape, or form, it led to probably the big three coming together. But
okay, their ceiling. I mean, yeah, their ceiling could be Durant, Westbrook, and you're talking about Durant's probably one of the greatest three players I've ever seen in my generation.
Second greatest scorer of all time
ever see play. I'd argue he's the greatest scorer of all time, but Tatum could possibly, he's entering that field where he could be top 5 in the NBA for several years to come. And Brown, if you're putting him in that Westbrook, that Batman era, he's looking like a dude who's going to be averaging 24 points, 22 to 25 points a game.
And the crazy thing with Tatum and Brown, like not to compare Tatum and Brown to like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, but you think about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they didn't start winning championships to like their late 20s. They didn't start winning championships to their late 20s. And then as those championships started coming in at, late 20s, early 30s, they got on a roll. They really got into their stride. We're talking about two guys who are 23 and 24 years old.
Yeah.
And I still think, I remember coming out of bubble last year, Marvin. I was telling you, shout out to my guy, Julius. I appreciate you, man. My man, Juice. What's up, guy? Coming out of the bubble last year and kind of watching Tatum and Brown, I kind of felt as if like they still were in this young kid, just happy to be here type of mindset. I'll never forget seeing Tatum. They lost in the bubble to Miami Heat in game 5, game 6? I don't remember.
6 games, yeah.
Game 6. They lost into Miami in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then Tatum posted on his IG, year 3 complete. That's it.
Don't look on his IG this year then.
I mean, I haven't seen it yet. But I see this dude post after you lose game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. You couple games from being in the NBA Finals. And he said, year 2 complete. And I'm like, yo, you're a child? Like, you just lost a big game that could have brought you to the championship. Like, I don't know. But I still feel in terms of maturity and athletically, their skill set is on another level right now. But maturity-wise, I still feel they have some levels to get to.
Yeah,
And
they're getting it fast. They're getting it fast. They're getting it fast. I mean, this was the year where it was like, okay, Kemba's knees walkie. It's really y'all two. You guys take the reins and go forward. Last year there was question marks because Kemba's coming in and he's the veteran presence, but he doesn't really have any playoff experience. So we didn't really know if who's the number one option yet. Then Tatum really took that over in the second half of last season, knowing that he was the number one option. Then this year, it was easy to understand that it's Tatum's team. Then it goes through Brown. Then Kemba needs to come in and pitch in whatever he can with the points. And it's now they're taking the reins. This was the first year where those two guys took the reins, and they both answered the call. I mean, leadership and maturity wise, everything like that, they're going to grow into that, right? We're talking about 24, 23-year-olds. Next year, they're going to be better.
Yeah, they'll continue to grow and develop. One thing, again, if we're going back to Danny Ainge, that I think he failed to do is while these guys are growing and maturing and, unlocking different levels of their skill set, I'd wish he'd continue to put more veteran players on the team to just be in their ear in terms of different things on the court. You got Tatum and Brown, who young players playing and supposed to lead other young players. Like, it didn't make sense to me that it's not going to work. Already, you see Tatum and Brown, they're kind of soft-spoken guys. They're not big. They're not like a Chris Paul or a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan type, get hyped up, go yelling and get the team hyped. Like, they're more, I think, lead by example. I think Tatum said that when he was asked about leadership, I kind of lead by example. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the roster can fit, 12 to 15 people. So you're going to have a whole team that's full of, hey, let's go. Come on, guys. Keep up the like. Your team needs some fire to it. And every offseason that passed by since you've had Tatum and Brown, I've looked for Danny Ainge to add somebody who can be that fire starter, that dog. Marcus Smart's kind of there, not really. You had Marcus Morris for the season, and I think Marcus Morris brought that, but he didn't last long here. Tristan Thomas.
And in order for Jalen to be what Jalen is now, Marcus couldn't be here.
I mean, that's true. Same thing I saw. I think Wes said that earlier about Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward, Wes said Gordon Hayward going down was a blessing in disguise for Tatum. A lot of things unfolded in different ways that allowed Tatum and Brown to shine. And, now they're the faces of the franchise. What are you going to do as GMs, as an organization, to put these guys in the best position to win now?
Yeah, and that's
develop young players win now.
And that's no longer the question for Danny Ainge to answer anymore. Because another thing that needs to be brought up is Brad Stevens is now the new president of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. So last night, Mike, we had a disagreement about Brad Stevens and whether players were tuning him out. I said that they were. I feel like his time has run his course. You were saying you don't believe as much that the players were tuning him out. Does this, Brad Stevens talking about how it was draining and such like that, and he felt like that he himself needed a change. With you hearing some of the comments that Brad Stevens said, do you now believe that there was definitely some things going on with Brad Stevens coaching and players weren't really listening?
There's one thing that I always thought hampered Brad Stevens was the fact that as great of an X's and O guy he is, as well as he knows the game of basketball and whatnot, I really felt as if players sometimes will look at this dude and be like, "Yo, you don't really you can't understand what it's like to be a player in this league." Brad Stevens might say something to these guys in the locker room, whatnot, and in their mind or in a little conversation, they're probably like, "Yo, this dude don't know what it's like to be out there guarding these NBA type athletes." But Brad Stevens, would he make it to Division III basketball and then started coaching? Like, I've always felt that if there's one thing there's one area that was a disconnect between Brad Stevens and the players, it was the fact that, you know, him not being a former player is a part of it. And also the fact that as Tatum and Brown's, you know, career started to blossom more, egos develop. Especially when you're an all-star player, you're going to start feeling like you're entitled to certain things. You're going to start feeling like, yo, screw your play, Brad Stevens. Get me the ball. I'm averaging 25 points a game. Get me the ball. I'm averaging, you know, whatever Tatum and Brown average. They probably felt like that. There's probably disagreements in huddles and timeout where they feel like, yo, screw that. Just get me the ball. And Brad Stevens, you know, kind of being the soft-spoken guy that he is, probably struggled to deal with that. And, you know, the type of coach Brad Stevens is, every coach is different. So I would never knock Brad Stevens for not being some type of rah, you know, Doc Rivers kind of yelling your face type guy, try to yell into huddles and timeouts to get them hyped up. That's not Brad Stevens. That's not who he is.
So back to my question. You didn't answer it.
I didn't answer your question.
No. So do you now agree that he lost the team at times this year?
No.
With hearing Brad Stevens' comments.
What was his exact comments?
He was talking about how this year was draining. He's been drained for the 7 years being as a coach and stuff, and this is a perfect time for him to look for a change.
I think, okay, if those were his comments, I think he was trying to hide the fact that he wasn't messing with how Danny Ainge.
You think, yo, Mike, let Danny Ainge go, bro. Let it go.
He was drained because Danny Ainge kept giving him crap teams to work with.
He was drained because he lost the team, bro. He lost the team.
When shout out to Newbie is in the chat saying we're soft. The team full of softies. You tell me you lost a bunch of softies? I don't believe that.
Yeah, you lost a bunch of softies, bro. It was so evident that throughout the year, Brad Stevens lost the team. The fact that Brad Stevens, who signed a 6-year contract or whatever it was last year, he signed a 6-year contract to coach last year, is ready to be out after this year.
Come on, season. Man. Anybody would be drained after having a sucky season.
So why not stay coaching?
Yo, they offered a chance to elevate into a GM role.
Nah, he didn't want to coach no more, bro. He didn't want to coach no more.
I don't know. If he didn't want to coach no more,
you don't know. It's out there that he didn't want to coach no more.
If he didn't want to coach anymore, why did he sign the contract?
Because he lost the team this year.
I don't believe he lost the team.
He lost the team.
I believe in conversations with Danny Ainge and the other ownership, they presented him with an opportunity. From what I heard or what I read correctly, when they initially was like, yo, we're gonna start looking for a replacement GM for Danny Ainge. They Wick Grossbeck and them other guys asked Brad Stevens for his help in looking for a new GM. And on top of doing that, they said, well, Brad, you know, why don't you also throw your name in the hat for potential replacements? And somewhere, I don't know how the conversations went, but somewhere along the lines, Brad Stevens got the job.
Those same reports were talking about how Brad didn't want to coach no more.
I don't know if I believe
this is a man who signed a 6-year contract last year. You just can't pick and choose which one you want to believe in, which one you
I don't believe he lost the team fully. I believe it was a struggle for the whole team, players, coaches, organization. It was a bad year all around.
Right. And through that, sometimes he's been coaching for that team for a long time. And sometimes people just don't want to hear you no more. They don't want to hear you. And Brad shout out to him. He recognized it.
Let me see what the comments here coming in from Jay. He's saying Brad kept saying in the post-game press conference, well, we're pretty small, so we got to do what we got to do. I think he was definitely frustrated with the makeup of the team. Yeah, I agree.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
He's not going to sit there and throw Danny Ainge under the bus for giving him a sucky team to coach. But like, I think that's part of what was really bothering him. Now, who wouldn't like a chance, in a sense, to construct your own team? Who wouldn't like that chance? I know some people out there, they play these sports video games. Everybody want to do my play and whatnot. But I tell you, that GM mode in them video games is great, because getting a chance to construct your own team and get to sign who you want, trade who you want, draft who you want, it's a good feeling. It's fun. I surely enjoy it when I play 2K and whatnot. And I think Brad Stevens was presented with an opportunity by ownership to do that. Yeah, he doesn't have the experience or whatnot. I think that's a whole different conversation you can dive into. But he was presented with an opportunity to become GM, a different role. Whether you want to say he was tired of coaching or not, could be the case. But
it's not could be. That's what it was. He was tired of coaching. That's what.
And he got presented a great opportunity as GM, and it slid into that role.
My issue with Brad saying he was drained, right? And this is a big issue. Being a GM is no easy task. I know coaching, Brad Stevens probably up all hours of the night. We know how smart he is, and he's doing the X's and O's and things like that. This GM job that he's presented is going to be very draining as well. He has a lot to do. I mean, first thing foremost, he's got to find the right head coach, and then he has a whole roster makeup he needs to change with little money. And the biggest question is, what you're going to do with Kemba Walker and Marcus Smart. I'm not saying it can't be done, but he has a lot on his plate right now that he's got. Danny said, peace, I'm out. This is too much. I'm gone. Brad, you said coaching is draining. Hey, why don't you try this? It's going to be a lot of work that Brad Stevens has got to work with. A lot of work.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, before they can even start to really have ideas of how to make moves and possible transaction, whatnot, like you said, the first real piece or domino that needs to fall is who the hell is going to become the coach of this team. And I'm seeing in the chat, we got a lot of different names popping up from different people. Wes here saying he thinks the next coach should be Lloyd Pierce, Chauncey Billups, Nate McMillan.
Hey man, you guys know who I want.
I'm a big my list would definitely be Sam Cassell, Chauncey Billups, and I will say, I know he's not getting no love, but I would say Mark Jackson. I would love to see Mark Jackson get another coaching role. But those are my three guys. Jeff Van Gundy, he's been out the game for a long time. Jeff Van Gundy
doesn't want to see.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Van Gundy's been out the game for a long time, so I don't know how it'd work out for him coaching. Mike D'Antoni, I'm all set on D'Antoni. Something about his offenses, I don't know. I don't want him to come here and trying to turn Tatum into James Harden. I would hate to see that. I don't want that happening here. And something about Jason Kidd just don't rub me the right way. Wow. I don't know. Something about his... Ever since he coached Brooklyn and he tried to be doing some slick stuff, like when he told that player bump into him so he could spill the water on the floor. I know he's probably come a long way from those days, but I don't know. Jason Kidd would be, I'm on the fence with Jason Kidd. Like, I wouldn't be overly excited if he were to become the head coach. I would also, wouldn't be super pissed, but I definitely would love to see Cassell or Chauncey Billups. And then you talk about guys who are coming out of the college ranks. Penny Hardaway, he's a guy who couldn't get a chance. Former player. I think at the end of the day, the Celtics need a former player, a former NBA player as head coach. Chauncey Billups, Penny Hardaway, Sam Cassell, Jason Kidd. Who's another? Someone tried to tell me they should look at Patrick Ewing. I don't know about that.
I'm all set. Let him stay at Georgetown.
What about Jerry Stackhouse? He's coaching now.
Stackhouse is coaching in the college level right now. I think was it Vanderbilt? I think Stackhouse is coaching. I mean, as soon as I got the notification that Brad Stevens wasn't going to be the head coach, the first name that came to mind to me was Chauncey Billups.
Yeah.
Been a big Chauncey Billups fan when he was on TV. Now he's coaching alongside with Tyronn Lue and Sam Cassell over there and with the Clippers. I would love that'd be my number one option. I would love to see Chauncey Billups come in. I think he he will demand respect from the team. We know his IQ. He's seen it all. Champion coming on this team. I think it would be a perfect fit, especially not. I think having a black coach is very important for this team right
Huge.
now as well. To have a black coach run the team, I think that'd be huge. Jason Kidd, I'm seeing a lot of notes for Jason Kidd in the chat. I don't mind Jason Kidd at all. I wouldn't mind him. The guy knows basketball. He knows how to coach. I would not mind Jason Kidd coming to the Celtics. Sam Cassell, I wouldn't be mad at it. I wouldn't be mad giving Sam because he's been an assistant for a long time now, and he definitely deserves his due. So I wouldn't be mad about that. Mark Jackson, I mean, his name's always gonna come up. The stories I've heard and what I know, he's not going to be coaching. He won't be coaching. He won't be coaching the Boston Celtics at all.
Also seeing a lot on social media, people throwing out names like Kevin Garnett and Kendrick Perkins.
Those aren't serious. Those aren't serious.
But I tell you what, maybe not Garnett, because Garnett is built a little different. If Kendrick Perkins, which I doubt he'll do, because he's having the way they got that guy working right now, he's living pretty.
His second life is real good right now.
But I mean, I would definitely take a Kendrick Perkins if he wanted to be assistant coach next to Cassell.
Coaching staff. Yeah, for sure.
And especially with Chauncey Billups, like I said, I doubt Kevin Garnett wants to coach right now. But he
came out on his IG and said, y'all gotta chill out. I'm not built to be a coach.
Yeah. But I mean, if he did not maybe a head coach, but if he wants to be assistant coach, I could definitely see him next to Billups on that staff. One thing that's really pissing me off, or maybe I shouldn't be pissed off because it hasn't happened fully yet, or we don't know, is who the hell's on the current Celtics coaching staff? Because I think they need to wipe the whole thing clean.
Yeah, I mean,
except Evan Turner.
That's where it's like, how cutthroat is Brad Stevens about to be here?
Some of them guys, that Jay Larranaga dude, he got to go.
Whoever Brad Stevens brings as a head coach, Brad don't even. Hey, these guys are let that head coach pick his guys. Let him pick his. I love what they did with Steve Nash, right?
Yeah,
Steve Nash came in. He's got Mike D'Antoni. He's got Amari Stoudemire. He brought in the coach of last year's Brooklyn's team to be on the
Jack Vaughn.
Yep, all of them are there. So it's like this is Steve Nash's first year, but he has a veteran coaching staff with him. I love that.
Which is why I would love to see Billups or Cassell get an opportunity, because I think they would bring in veterans around him. I think they would not waste any time bringing their buddies who are former NBA players to be right next to them, help them coach the staff. I would love to see the Celtics coaching staff be filled with veteran players. That would make me so happy. So happy. And I think, that's the most important thing. Obviously, yeah, you can look at, well, what's going to happen with Kemba's contract, or are they going to end up moving Smart or whatnot? Before we get into any of that, we know that Tatum and Brown are the leaders of this team. Who's going to be the head coach for them to work with? And I also believe Tatum and Brown need to be in on the coaching search with Brad Stevens.
I was just going to ask you that. They
need to be. They're the leaders of the team. They're going to be here for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons. And they're the top guys. They need to be in on the search. And I know it might get a little awkward sitting down with Brad Stevens. Like, all right, so who do you guys think should replace me as the head coach? And clearly, I wasn't doing a good job. It might be a little awkward, but at the end of the day, they all need to pull up their big boy pants and have that conversation and sit down in a round table and talk about it and interview and figure out who's going to be the next coach of the team. Because I think the comment coming out of Westbrook, it's not Westbrook, Wick Grossbeck, that he told Brad Stevens, if I read correctly, said, look, we're going to get banner 18 or we're going to die trying. I love that. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I mean, Brad is going to learn real quick that he's going to have to make some cutthroat moves, because you said it, it's awkward. You just coach all of these guys. You just build relationships with them. And as a coach, usually when a guy gets traded, it's a cop out. It wasn't you that traded them, so you can be like, "Hey, man, I wish you didn't have to go." Blah blah blah. Now you're the guy. Now, like, how awkward is it going to be if Brad Stevens' first move is shipping out Marcus Smart? It's you have to do something, right? I'm not saying that's the move he should do or anything like that, but he's going to get rid of his former players that he coached. It's awkward, but that's the position you're put in now. You got to bring in Tatum, you got to bring in Brown, sit them down, and you got to build that relationship with them, because you mentioned it yesterday. What happens when that contract runs out? Are they going to want to stay? Are they going to? One thing about Danny Ainge, you said he lost connection. Like, it was always weird to me how Al Horford just got up and bounced after that year, and then Gordon Hayward, the freaking son of Brad Stevens, almost wasted no time to say, "Yeah, I'm not coming back." Like, there was a lot of stuff that we still don't even know internally that was going on in that locker room. So Brad Stevens got some work to do.
That's a little bit. I feel as if, like you said, Horford just was kind of, "Yeah, I'm out, cool." Nothing more to it. Hayward didn't even hesitate to say, "Yeah, I'm out, cool." Some of that, like, we don't fully know, but some of that could be the disconnect between the general manager, the guy who's maybe dealing with the contracts and whatnot, and the players. It's cool to have Brad Stevens in your corner. Oh, the coach likes me. Brad Stevens is a great guy, great coach, but I'm not feeling the general. I have no relationship with the general manager. Even if I maybe wanted to take a discount or something to stick around here, maybe because there's no real relationship with Danny Ainge, these guys are out of here. Now you think about it. I know a lot of people questioning Brad Stevens sliding into that GM mode, but take away like how good or bad of a coach he was or whatnot. The consensus around the league, I think most players like Brad Stevens have a lot of respect for him.
Respect.
Most coaches have a lot of respect for Brad Stevens. I remember the year he got a chance to coach the All-Star team, and that's when it was really high. Like, they were talking about, it might be like Greg Popovich and then Brad Stevens.
That hype train was crazy.
Yeah, and I think even LeBron was throwing like a lot of respect, putting a lot of respect on Brad Stevens' name. So, like, in terms of being able to connect with the players and being a likable guy and building relationships, I think that's one area that Brad Stevens won't really struggle with, being a general manager. On top of that, he's a younger guy. He's not far off in age to some of these players as compared to older Danny Ainge was. Like, it's not his era anymore. It's not his generation. I definitely believe, I said this in the beginning show, I'll say it again, as the years went on, especially, the disconnect was there. And then Danny Ainge got a whole bunch of health issues he's dealing with. I forgot. Yeah. He suffered like 2 strokes or something like that during his time with the Celtics. He's in his 60s. Like, don't add any extra pressure on your life right now when you can take care of your life and health, man, and just be a fan and sit back and enjoy. Like,
and go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just thinking some more.
It's just, and you got to understand, man. Even looking at the situation that we still don't fully understand, and maybe now that he's retired, he can let us know what the hell happened with that Indiana Pacers trade. But it's clear to know that GMs were tired of Danny. They were tired, even if Danny probably gave him a good deal. They were probably thinking, double thinking, triple thinking, like, is he trying to fleece me here?
Yeah.
Like, going back to what I was saying earlier, Danny Ainge was not a bad GM. He was not a bad GM. He's made some moves where made a lot of GMs look stupid, and probably made a lot of GMs lose their jobs due to the fact that they traded with Danny Ainge. And
I think about that Indiana trade, because like you just said, Danny Ainge has fleeced a lot of GMs. And going back to the Indiana deal, I remember one report coming out, I was like, Danny Ainge is asking for like TJ Warren and Turner, Miles Turner.
Could be smoke screen, but
he can't be asking for all of that. Like, that's clearly a force. But this Danny Ainge we're talking about, he probably did ask for that. And Indiana was like, look, you're not gonna come over here and try to get 2 of our best players for one-legged Gordon Hayward. So you're probably right. Maybe GMs are just too hip to his tricks and games and just not trying to fall into it anymore. I mean, he's made some. At the end of the day, if you look at Danny's career as a GM, I would never look back and say it was a disappointment.
No,
He got a
you can't.
championship team out of it. He had some solid teams that came out of it. Yeah, only one championship's a little disappointment, but as much as I wanted him gone the last couple of years, I would never say his time as the Celtics general manager was a complete failure. He struggled the last couple of seasons for sure, but overall, it was not a failure.
You gotta put it into perspective, man. You really gotta put it into, like, I understand the hate and the fire Danny trades, fire Danny chants that were going on, but who were winning championships in these past 20 years? If it wasn't Kobe, Shaq, Steph Curry, and LeBron James, like, who were winning championships? Danny was doing everything that he can to combat those titans.
And he wasn't far off.
He wasn't far off.
2 injuries screwed you in 2009 and 2010.
Like, and a big injury, that screwed you in, what you call it, with Gordon Hayward and Kawhi as well, Sam. Yeah, of course Kawhi. But Danny was there. He was there. A lot of unfortunate things. I said it earlier. The 2019 draft looked like it was the downfall for the Celtics and him, but it wasn't bad. It was time. It was time for him to go. It was time to clean up house. Danny recognized it. Brad recognized it, and I'm happy. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it. Let's do it. Let's get a change. This is exciting news. It was a what the F news in the morning. Like, what the heck's going on? We just finished a game last night, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's the dawn of a new era. It's really the dawn of the new era, and it's not gonna. I mean, right now, it's not gonna fully feel like that until they hire the new coach. Like right now, still, like if they got rid of Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens, like okay, they got to go out and get a new coach and a new GM. Then it's okay. This is full fledged. Like okay, whole new regime, everything, because you would have figured a new GM and new coach are all fully coming in with new people to work with, new people they feel comfortable working with. So right now it's a new era because Ainge is gone, but it's not gonna fully feel brand new until they decide who the next head coach of the Boston Celtics will be, and that's the next piece we're waiting to see drop.
And that might not happen anytime soon. I mean,
yeah, not
playoffs,
maybe not till after because you got to think about it. There's coaches.
Yep.
That maybe looking at that up, they're like, "Oh, Celtics got an opening job. Oh, I gotta finish."
It's a desirable job. This is a very desirable.
Yeah.
I get to coach Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yes,
sign me up.
Yes.
This is a very desirable job. There's going to be a lot of candidates. I mean, we even hearing our old friend Kara Lawson might be in the picture. You're hearing all of these. Even you're hearing women candidates coming in. It's going to be a wild storm coming through. Stu's cheesing.
I'm just thinking of different candidates that could possibly roll through here. I think I'm locked in on the three people that I named, and I'm hoping that is one of those. Billups,
bring me Billups, man.
Cassell, Mark Jackson's a long shot, and maybe Kidd. But Billups and Cassell are my 2 top guys for sure.
And I know Lloyd Pierce's name was brought up as well. I still don't think he got a fair shake in Atlanta. They finally gave him a team. His team all got hurt, and they said, "Yeah, cool. See you later." And now Nate McMillan's out here doing his thing. And Nate McMillan should be making millions. How come he hasn't had a contract yet? Like Atlanta should have been gave him a contract. They're about to beat the the New York Knicks in the series.
Yeah, it's looking like Atlanta might be the one advancing. They have a 3-1 on them now. Come Wes and Jay. Look, I'm locked in on my 3-4 former NBA players that I want to see as head coach. The thing with, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. I would love to see, Becky Hammond get a role for sure. I would love to see get a role. But the thing, let's not act like there's no elephant in the room. If Becky Hammond becomes a coach of a basketball team, it's going to get a lot of publicity. It's going to be all over the news. NBA has their first head coach, a female head coach. It's going to get a lot of publicity and whatnot. I don't want her to get a coaching job with the Celtics And in her first coach job, the team sucks because the what's left behind from the previous regime has given you a bad team and you suck. I want her to go somewhere and be successful. I want Becky Hammond to jump into a position where she's successful. Like, say Frank Vogel decided he didn't want to coach the Lakers anymore. I would love Becky Hammond to slide right into that position because the team's already solidified for the most part, and she probably find quick success. I want that to come to her. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
No, I don't, because we just agreed 5 minutes ago that the Celtics job is one of the most desirable jobs in the
Oh, because
NBA.
yes, you have a chance. You have a chance to coach Tatum and Brown, but Tatum and Brown was there last year and in the year before, and it didn't bring much success. All I'm saying is, I'm locked in on my 3 people who I believe should get a chance at the Celtics. There's also probably names I'm thinking of that are currently coaching in these playoffs that I'm drawing a blank on, but
a lot of names are gonna come out. A lot of names. It's gonna be a lot of interviews. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see where the Celtics go here in this new era. The Tatum and Brown era. The 2 question marks are good for player wise are Marcus Smart and what you call it, and Kemba Walker.
Yeah. We'll yeah, this dude Jay. Jay, that's why, man, you great guy there. Real great guy. Oh man, Marv, I'm sure this conversation with how this offseason gonna unfold with the Celtics is gonna continue in various ways, man, because there's still so much to happen with this team and how they move forward.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Everyone who's watching, shout out to you guys. An emergency podcast with Double M Live, but we had to get it done, man. We had to let out everything off our chests because there was a lot to break down. Brad Stevens, president of basketball operations, Danny Ainge has taken a step down. Who knows? Maybe he goes become a general manager next year somewhere. Who knows what's about to happen? It's about to be a crazy summer. We said that last night and it came to fruition. Let's see what happens going forward. Any last words, Mike?
Today was mind-blowing. Today, June 2nd, for the Celtics nation, it was mind-blowing.
June. Damn.
Yeah, it was mind-blowing. But like I said before, it's the dawn of a new era, and I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see what kind of direction the Celtics go in. Like what Grossbeck said, you know, we trying to see Banner 18 go up, and we're going to do everything. We're going to die trying, man. So let's get to it, Celtics. Time to get back to work, man.
That means Wick better be ready to.
Yeah.
If you're talking like that.
Yeah.
Ready to hit some.
I'm gonna need to see a Bill Belichick type of offseason from the Celtics.
Maybe we need to wait a year, but we'll see. Double M Live, Mike Nice, Marv, we out of here.